Welcome back to First Things First. Look who's here, former All-Pro cornerback, current executive VP of football operations, friend to CC, friend to me. Just met Nick. This is Troy Vincent. Yeah, that's all true.
Troy, tell America the truth here. What's up, man?
What's up?
Good to see
Nick and I, this is Uncle Nick.
Exactly.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh.
This is my play cousin, Troy.
I'm hoping today that we actually turn Nick from talking about basketball analytics.
Hey.
It is true football season, baby.
It is football season. I hope you are turning more of the league to actually embracing the analytics instead of saying, this is how Vince Lombardi did it. So you use your position
All
of
three of
influence to
you
do that.
turn your attention to me so I can
no
read this
problem.
thing about
Okay, no
Troy.
problem.
Troy, you played in the NFL for 15 years. You spent more than half of that time with the Philadelphia Eagles, where you probably met some great, young, hungry, talented reporters along the way, asked great probing questions. Anyway, you also matched up against some great receivers along the way. One of them included our Chris Carter. You tweeted out this throwback Thursday picture of you lining up against CC a few weeks ago. You remember that day, or you just found the picture? Be honest.
I remember that day. I remember that day. So I think we played against each other 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, not as many.
Not as many, but we went to the Dome. My most memorable moment, Jake Reed ran a 3-yard slant on me and went the distance early on. But we had our way. I think we had our way with Minnesota. We had our way with Minnesota. There were certain things they couldn't do. Bryant was sitting there in the middle of the field, so there were certain things that Randy would do, certain things that CC would do. He was just a big talker. He wouldn't be quiet.
Really? That's a shocker.
This guy would not be quiet.
What would he say to you, Troy?
Stop holding me. Stop grabbing me. I mean, just be quiet and play.
Yeah.
All right, well.
No, he doesn't dispute any of it.
Denied any of it.
Stab him before they
So you've grown from being a football player to a guy who deals and works with football players all the time. This is now your life. The NFL's executive vice president of football operations.
Big
Tell
job.
us what you do.
So I oversee game operations. At the end of the day, anything that surrounds the game. So all game logistics, officiating,
Rules.
So just part of I'm the league's liaison as it pertains to the competition committee. I do a lot of listening, and then on game day, I'm watching and monitoring the games, and frankly, just making sure that the game continues to evolve. We keep the competitive balance, monitoring when we need to make adjustments and making those recommendations to ownership and the coaches.
Now, adjustment, you guys are making an adjustment after the playoff, the blown call there between the Rams and the Saints. Now we're going back and we're going to be able to review pass interference. For those fans, we're worrying about the time. We've gotten this thing right, where we're the most popular sport for a number of reasons. One is the time frame. We can pretty much predict around 3 hours and 5 minutes that game's going to be over. Are you concerned moving forward that might affect how long the game is now?
That was one of the challenges going in, as we discussed. We call that playing rule proposal number 6 of pass interference. This is the reason why membership, owners, general managers, and coaches, they only allowed the coaches to challenge that outside of 2 minutes, so that we know the game is really played inside of 2. And that's the new playing rule keeps it inside of our current review system, but it allows the coach to challenge something outside of 2 the beginning of either half.
All right, so I want to follow up on this because my concern is less about the time and more about the butterfly effect of it. First one, what are we doing on Hail Marys? Because in baseball, it was going to be, hey, we're bringing in replay. It's going to be easy. We're going to see if a guy beat the tag. And then it turns out, well, he did beat the tag, but for a split second, he came off the bag, and now he's actually out when for 100 years he was safe. For a long time, there had been one set of rules for normal pass play, another set of rules for Hail Marys. How does that work with the review system now in place?
Leave it alone. We just leave it alone.
It's inside the 2 minutes.
It's inside of 2 minutes, and the
but
Hail
it
Mary
still can be reviewed inside of 2 minutes. Just can't be challenged.
We keep it the same. That's one of those things that came up in the debate, in the discussion. What do you do with Hail Mary? You leave it alone. You let it play out the way it's always played out.
And then one follow-up on that, because I read from, I think it was on the MMQB, that he's already hearing about coaches potentially coaching guys into how to draw the pass interference with a greater emphasis due to this rule change.
Well, you want to be careful, because that can get overturned. So OPI could become a DPI. A DPI can become an OPI. So that's something, I don't know, you want to trick the system, it may backfire on you. But pace of play is critical. I think for all sports, in particular ours, we look at just 3 seasons ago, game time was at 3:08. Last year, we finished at 3:04:26. So we're conscious of, we call that pace of play, officiating mechanics. CC, when we played, there were 5 breaks inside of each quarter. They're now 4. So we're very conscious of pace of play, and we feel comfortable in the system that the games won't be extended. Time won't
Why
be
don't we
extended.
have full-time referees?
Well,
You
we do.
full-time. Roger, y'all making a bunch of money.
Here we go.
Why can't, yeah.
We
we
do.
Y'all NFL making money?
We have full-time game officials. Why
aren't they all full-time is, I think, the question.
We're working. You know, we're working towards that. And frankly, over the last 2 or 3 seasons, we've studied our full-time game officials. We've had 24 where are the full-time game officials, are they outperforming those that aren't full-time? Now, during the season, these men and women, they put a lot of time and effort in. They are prepared. They're human. We play an imperfect game with imperfect people. So they're, from time to time, there are going to be calls that we don't get that we would like to see. But we're aiming towards full-time game officials throughout the entire officiating body.
Troy, we always get a bunch of players on here that we talk to. We never get a good behind-the-scenes look at what actually happens. We spend an enormous amount of time talking about what's a catch, what's not a catch. What was going on behind the scenes when all of that information was coming in from everywhere and you guys had to actually make a decision on that?
That's a good rule change.
Because I don't know if fans really understand how much stress that is on the league to try to figure out which direction you're going to go in.
The catch, no catch. And we brought CC in, so we just said, okay, let's just start from scratch. Let's get let's bring the greatest catchers who've played our game and those who have coached our game in particular, and let's define what a catch is. So, CC, I'm going to turn it to you because you were part of that process of what is a catch, what determines a catch, and he saw the disagreement himself with his peer group about what a catch is.
Right. Can I just say, I think it's so interesting that instead of the league just making a decision, you said, well, who's catching the balls? Well, let's bring some of the greatest catchers in. It's just such a novel approach to how to actually make a rule change.
Yeah, it was a great approach if they had listened to me. But then they didn't. They brought me in there, served me lunch and everything, and did exactly what they wanted.
Well, we actually thought Steve Largent actually was more reasonable. And even Randy.
The catch, no catch rule, I thought removing the ground, because you do have to have everything you do as far as being inbounds, control of the ball, 2 feet in or 1 body part. And then after that, you got to do something with the football. And that's the difference between high school, college, and pro. Can I see him actually transition to, I'm on the offensive side, and I do believe that it helps clear it up. Let's remove the ground. Even though the ground is the box that we play on, I didn't think we should remove the ground. But when we did, I could see the argument. Bill Cowher, he had a very compelling. Largent was very good. Moss, not so much. So I could see Roger. Tim Brown was very good, but Steve Largent and the points they made, I compromised a little bit, and I gave up the point as far as the ground. But as far as control and a football move, I think that they got it right.
And Jenna, but that's our approach as we go into every offseason. It's let's bring in people, have an inclusive process. You get just better outcomes, and we've seen that with catch, no catch. We've seen that this O-line, D-line play. We saw it this year as it pertains to the pass interference. When you start bringing in all stakeholders, you just come out with a better outcome.
So you're in a very unique position because, as we talked about off the top, you had a very decorated long career yourself, and now you're as a defensive player, and now your job is to worry about the health of the league as a whole. You mentioned game day operations. I would imagine there's a bit of maybe even an internal conflict for you when you see the league going in a way that's obviously good for business. I think it's great for the viewer. I think it's great for the fan, which is a added focus on offense and making it so much harder for you to do your job as a player. When you're watching the games, how much does it remind you of when you were playing, and what's the biggest difference between, it's not like you're an old man now, you were playing recently.
Yeah, I am young.
Exactly right, much younger than our friend here. What's the biggest difference between when you were playing just a decade ago?
Well, just knowing what I know now, I wish I'd have knew that. So there's no conflict. It's about doing the right thing for the game. So when you look at the game of professional football, it's why we're the best. It's why we're the most entertaining. It gets down to, here's the formula: number of plays, number of passes, number of penalties equals points. When the quarterback is upright and he's healthy, we have an exciting and a dynamic game. We have to protect the most valuable asset to a club, the QB. Plays, passes, penalties equals points. So these rule adjustments, oftentimes, they're necessary for the game. So there's no conflict. This is what is best for the game. We should not be taking unnecessary shots at an opponent, QB, receiver, whatever it may be. So there's no conflict.
We're approaching the 100th season. There's a number of things I'm looking forward to. There's a number of things I've been involved thanks to the NFL and NFL Films. What are you looking forward to as we approach the 100th NFL season?
The emergence of these young stars. Last year, it was just phenomenal.
Gonna happen.
Going to happen. The inevitable is going to happen. It is here. But to see that emergence of the young stars with the Patrick Mahomes and you're still having the Drew Breeses and the Tom Brady still there. These young stars and the greats just coming together. Yeah, it's
Saquon.
So that part that's exciting. And sometimes people don't want to pass the mantle. It was hard. Well, that's here. It is now. And we saw that play out a year ago. Just a fantastic season.
Troy, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you. I do have a gift for CC.
Oh.
If you don't mind.
Yes,
No,
please.
So every day I'm watching in the morning, I wake up and just check out you all's gear. And I'm just saying, okay, two things. One, I got a Buckeye bracelet.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
That is.
Just a little Buckeye bracelet.
Oh, okay.
That is awesome.
And
really nice. Got a little bling bling
Yeah,
on
a little
it.
bling bling. And then finally, I need you to represent the unique fraternity.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Wow.
Not the fraternity that just lives in Canton that you always talk about.
Turn it that way so they can see.
So this is, CC, won't you explain what this is? I like to see this every morning.
This is the Walter Payton. This is the logo for Walter Payton. They changed it from the Man of the Year to the Walter Payton. I'm very, very fortunate to be one of the people. I was the first winner. And then also my brother here, he also won the award. So, yes, Walter Payton pendant. I will put it on lapel pin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I gave him two.
Oh.
So to make sure we want to keep one on a set in the event that he doesn't have one on when he shows up.
Yeah,
I'll just
don't,
wear
Jen and Nick.
No, you're everything but the Man of the Year.
So
No.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
stop.
having me.
Troy, thank you so
Thank you, bro.
much. All the best this year. Good luck
Thank
with
you.
everything this
Thank
season.
you.
Much more First Things First right after
Good to see
this.
you, man.